Well, this is probably one of the toughest, if not the toughest videos I've ever had to do because I know quite a lot about this subject, so I'm a little bit perplexed. So let's get to the main gist, which is that Tom Cruise will be awarded, unless some catastrophe happens, on May 2025, a BFI fellowship, which is an honor bestowed by the British Film Institute. And this is a little hard for Americans because, yes, there is some public funding of, quote, the arts and fine culture and higher culture in the US, but it's pretty sparse for the most part. If you want to be in the film, television industry, you're working in private industry. Again, there is some space for the public sector, but it's pretty pathetic compared to most countries. It's like apples and oranges. I guess if speaking to anyone in Britain, we have something like it, like the BBC with PBS, but really it's still apples and oranges. So anyway, that's critical because, and it's ironic. I was actually thinking about doing a video on the differences between American and British culture in many ways, and this is one of them. Again, we do have similar things, but really, it is a little different. So the upshot here is, if we were to protest this or boycott this, I'm a little puzzled to do, especially if you're American based. Apparently, the BFI gets money from private funds, but it is getting money from the public. So there is a role here, and it has the national lottery. I've studied Britain for decades. I never heard of this, so, but apparently they have a lottery system, and it's partially paid through that. There's also the question if we even should be protesting or boycotting this. Again, he's being honored as an actor and producer, and you can say many things about Tom Cruise, but he is an actor and producer. You can fault him, criticize how he does his productions and how he does his film roles, but again, this is sort of a professional organization honoring a fellow professional, one who has, we got to be honest, he has pumped tons, and I do mean tons of money into Britain and London in particular through film productions. I mean, the number of productions he's done in England now are probably like, lost count. So, uh, yeah, you can say this is a sign of corruption, right? I mean, are they honoring him because he's a good film producer and or good actor, or he's just very successful in terms of box office? Somebody put out, I think, some false data on this issue, saying he's the only guy who's made this much money. No, people have done comparable box office, like Samuel L. Jackson, even Scarlett Johansson, if you look at the numbers properly. So he's not very unique, right? People have done as good or better. I think there's actually an Indian star who has just a little bit more box office than him. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. I don't think there's any way you could deny Tom Cruise is very successful, and the BFI is honoring that success. So that leaves a little head scratching about what you do as an anti-Scientologist. So it's like, well, they're not technically honoring him as a Scientologist, so what would be the grounds for denying him the fellowship? I guess the best response, being serious, is that Scientology, at least the Miscavige version, is a criminal organization and a really evil cult. So the question would be, would the BFI be comfortable honoring a similar candidate, for instance, a neo Nazi? Would they ever do a fellowship for somebody with those kinds of politics? The answer is probably not. So there does seem to be the issue of discrimination that, for whatever reason, Scientology is more, quote, acceptable than other fascist cults. Although you have to be a little careful because, from what I'm gathering from Apostate Alex and other British activists, the general opinion of Scientology is very poor, from what I'm gathering in the United Kingdom and Britain and London. So it's not really a PR battle because Scientology is not really all that popular. So again, we're kind of stuck in terms of if he did want to oppose this, and I'm not clear I do oppose this because again, this is strictly speaking about him in the film industry. I mean, what would be the boycott? I guess we could try to get the BFI defunded. which is an option, and just saying, well, the BFI in the past did good work, but given what they're doing with Tom Cruise, X or Y can no longer support it. You can also do symbolic things like writing letters or just standing out there with signs, but that sounds also kind of bizarre and silly. So, how to be effective? I don't know. I don't know. I guess we could and should let the people who run the BFI say that this is not a good idea on many levels, right? If Tom Cruise wants to be a Scientologist, that in itself is not bad. But him giving and promoting the official, I mean, put in quotation marks, the official Church of Scientology is bad because it has been caught red-handed being a criminal organization dozens and dozens and dozens of times. It's all been documented. So why are they doing this? I don't know. I mean, again, there's also Tom Cruise's very weird place in British culture itself, which is that people are kind of mixed on him, right? He is honored as a good professional and even, quote, a great guy, right? If you see the Graham Norton show, which is very popular there, he always seems like a nice, very affable, very human, and very approachable star. But then, if you're are a subscriber to this channel, we've seen the darker side of Tom Cruise. We're going to keep it very brief, where over and over again it's been documented that he and Miscavige are very violent, repressive to the Scientology staff, and Tom Cruise has been the beneficiary, well, there's no nice way of putting it, of slave labor for decades. So, yeah, this really has me with conflicting intuitions because it's like, well, should film organizations, for the most part, be able to do whatever they want to do? The answer is yes, whether it's gay cinema, black cinema, you name it, even, quote, national cinema. I mean, within boundaries, it's like, well, if they want to do X, Y, Z, right? For instance, I don't think this is a very good movie, but The Triumph of the Will, for instance, is considered a really great movie. I don't agree. I've seen it. I still think it's pretty stupid, but it's a notorious Nazi documentary, but many people think it's a great film. It should be preserved and studied, and there we go. I disagree. I don't think it's that good a film, but it's there. So should we just toss that aside because the creator's a Nazi woman? I don't know. I don't know. These are tough, difficult questions. So I'm still pondering what the course of action should be. This is just me offering my thoughts on it. And obviously, technically speaking, since I'm not a British citizen, I'm not sure what I can do, right? If you're going to call for the BFI to be defunded, well, as an American, I don't even chip in. So there we go. Another way they make money is through the selling of tickets through BFI venues. Again, I'm not in Britain, so I've never paid for a BFI event in my life. So I can't even have an effective boycott because I never really gave them money. Right? The whole point of a boycott is I used to give you money, but I'm not going to give you money in this instance. So this seems like a primarily British focused, British centric issue. And as an American, being serious as an American citizen, there's not much we can do. I guess symbolically, we can send emails or plan protests here, but again, being the BFI, what do we do? Do we go to protest actors and producers who are also honored by the BFI? It just seems not clear what the response should be. We can definitely protest it in a way, but as Americans, I'm not sure what our capacity is, aside from don't patronize Tom Cruise films. And I guess that's the best we can do. Say, I can review the films. I think I'm honor bound to do that as a film critic, because I do consider myself a film critic. But beyond that, you just have to say, put a hard stop and never pay for a Tom Cruise film. But even there, I think there's probably one or two magical exceptions, like, for instance, Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut. I'm trying to think. I think I bought a DVD of Eyes Wide Shut years ago. And by the way, it's from a used, whatever, it's one of the used websites. So it's not like, it's not the producers themselves are getting direct money. Tom Cruise is still getting paid from that film. But putting aside the issue of morality and ethics, funny story, and this is the stuff I share with the channel members. I never got it. I never got the DVD, so I was like, okay, well, there you go, kind of karma, I guess. So, yeah, for the most part, I guess you say just don't watch, or at least don't pay for any Tom Cruise films. If you do have to review them for review purposes, That is about it, and leave it there. But don't do any kind of mindless, silly propaganda or downplay his role in Scientology, which is often done. And probably the best you can do, because even now, mainstream magazines do note he's in the cult, but really try to downplay the activities. And that's the best we can do, I guess, at this moment. But there we are. BFI is going to honor Tom Cruise in May. What should we as activists do? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I honestly don't. But if you have any good suggestions down below for Americans, there you are. But obviously, for the British, this is a whole other tea kettle. So I'll be interested how the British activists involved in anti-Scientology will react and what they recommend doing going forward. And there we are.